All right, Christian, we've had a few days to figure out what the heck just happened over the weekend. Welcome, everybody, to Drafting the Magic. This is Beyond the Draft, our summertime series. Before we get ready to draft, I don't know what, because we've got a lot to dissect after D23 this weekend. We couldn't even get to Monday morning without another announcement happening. And here we are.
Seriously, and full disclosure, we are recording on Monday.
Yeah.
So if there has been an announcement since then, that's why we're not talking about it. But
I might have to follow my phone while we're recording this just in case. Like, that's how wild the last 4 days have been.
Disney's back, baby.
Disney's in a big
back,
way.
Baby.
In a big way. And of course, a lot of controversies for some people. There's criticisms. There's mostly joy, which is the best part about all this. And we're going to get to as much as we possibly can. I don't know that we're going to get this in one episode, but we're going to do the best we possibly can.
We're going to try, Eric. We're going to try. There's a lot of things that happened this weekend. One of them I will note in just a little bit that we haven't talked about. A couple of people online have talked about it, but the future of the company was on the line here, and holy smokes.
Well, and you remember, just in a more broad sense, the last time we had, or I should say the last few quarterly updates were all entertainment is a problem. Entertainment is an issue. The studios are tanking. What are we going to do? Not in that many words. And it was always, the theme parks are doing fine. The theme, we don't even need to talk about them. They're great. And then this last quarter, our good friend Mr. Iger comes out and says, hey, how about that Deadpool movie? And how about Inside Out 2? The studios are great. Hey, Bob, how about the theme parks? We'll talk about that next week. So they needed something like this. They absolutely delivered. I know there's bits and pieces here and there that you and I definitely disagree on. There's some stuff we agree on. We'll get to all that. But first, the most important thing we need to do is talk about your wardrobe today.
Yes, sir. I am wearing one of the beautiful shirts provided to us by the Main Street Dudes. Special thanks to the Main Street Dudes for providing some shirts for us all summer long. I am wearing the Cosmic Tour, a direct reference to the Cosmic Rewind roller coaster, the Guardians of the Galaxy roller coaster out in Walt Disney World at Epcot. You can see it on the screen here. And just the fantastic work that the Main Street Dudes do have had us going all season long, or I guess all not season long. And so we are very excited to say that Steven from the Main Street Dudes will be joining us at some point during the season 3 of Drafting the Magic as a guest judge, possibly as early as the first episode. We're still working out all the details, but they've been so kind to us. We want to make sure we can highlight them on a whole episode, Eric. And I'm hoping he's got some cool t-shirts to wear during that episode too. Maybe he debuts. I doubt it. I doubt they'll debut one, but how cool is it? We're going to have the Main Street Dude on the show.
Yeah, that poor guy going to come on here and have to deal with everything we're about to talk about, most likely. So,
Yep.
So our blessings to him, and thank you for eventually joining us. But make sure you check him out, cornerofmain.com, and check out all the Main Street Dude shirts. I apologize, I don't have mine on today because of the scramble of everything going on. Your boy's behind in laundry.
It was a busy weekend. What can we say?
It was a very busy weekend. So I got my Disney World shirt on. So
it's still appropriate.
That'll be close enough for this time around. Anyway, Christian, D23 happened over the weekend in Anaheim. It happens every 2 years. This year, we knew it was going to be big from the get-go because it wasn't just at the ACC, as we affectionately call the Anaheim Convention Center out here, but they expanded to Honda Center as well, and they sold tickets to those 3 nights and those 3 events. And Saturday night was the main event, and I think that's where we're going to focus our attention today.
It is. Let's give me 2 seconds to talk about Friday night, though.
Your time's up. Okay.
We are going to have Incredibles 3, Eric.
Yes, we are.
You even said, you were like, oh, how great would it be if they talked about Incredibles 3 as kind of a throwaway. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Incredibles 3, I will say, you and I were pretty pumped after that night. We're like, oh man, what after the Parks and Resorts thing, I'm looking back at Friday and going, they kind of missed. Like, they could have done a lot with how great Saturday was. Friday was just kind of okay.
Which is fine. That's totally fine by me.
It's fine.
Friday was great. We're getting sequels. We know that it's what makes money, and that's kind of what leads into Saturday night.
Yeah,
and they blew it up. And quite honestly, if Friday night was as good as Saturday night, then Saturday night was a disaster.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I will say this, and you and I have not talked about this yet. Saturday night did something for the future of the company. I think it solidified that Josh D'Amaro is going to be the next CEO of Disney, because he did that perfectly. And I know he's got a lot of team behind him. That's not just his brain that thinks all that up. But that was a near perfect presentation.
Yeah, for him to do it by himself was a huge deal to me. You know, Iger didn't speak at all. We didn't see Bob weird. Until Sunday.
Where was Bob? Where was Bob?
Hey, you know, to keep up with the Olympics, man, this is a passing of the torch, potentially.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know if it was enough to get Josh the job, but it certainly helped.
I think it might have put it in some
look, this is theme parks, and theme parks is the bread and butter. But there are several other aspects of the company that you have to be aware of.
That's true. That's very true.
Josh isn't a TV and movie guy. He's a theme parks guy.
Yeah.
And, you know, previously, if you rewind to Chapek, he was a big consumer products guy, right? So you need somebody, obviously somebody's going to have the forte of one of the four segments of the company is going to be their bread and butter. Even with like Bob Iger. I mean, Bob was a TV and studios guy. He wasn't a theme park guy. But you need to know how to run all the aspects of the business. And we haven't seen Josh do too much on the TV and movie side until Friday night, which actually helps your point out a little bit. But even on Friday night, he wasn't terribly front and center.
No,
so
he was not.
We'll see how this all shapes up. I think he's moved up in the ladder to succession, meaning you know, if we were to put out power rankings of who's going to be next, I think he may have jumped up a few spots.
Yeah.
Did he get to number one? I think only time will tell.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Well, before Josh even came out onto the stage, Disney answered a question that none of us really had, but we were all maybe kind of wondering at the same time of why was Patrick Warburton at Soarin' a couple months ago? well, they answered that with a pre-safety spiel for D23, except he added a bunch of things from his traditional Soarin' thing. His line of, you know, please keep your, you know, your glasses and your purses, added lounge flies, lightsabers, Figment popcorn buckets, Thomas Kincaid paintings, light up bubble wands, backpack Yodas, churros, Mickey Mouse premium ice cream bars, and pin lanyards to the safety spiel. He also said our flight takes us through blue sky, which it really didn't, because Josh was like, hey, we're not doing blue sky. We're showing you concrete. But it could get pretty wild up there, and you're going to want to buckle up. If today's announcements don't measure up to your height indicator, well, that's on you.
That was my favorite line. That was my favorite line of the whole speech was if you don't like it, deal with it.
I mean, a perfect way to begin the night. And then something that they really didn't jump into, but they just kind of gave us a logo. We're going to have a 70th anniversary for Disneyland. Yeah. And it kind of went on my thoughts of, this isn't going to be the giant thing. Get ready. 75 is going to be a much bigger thing.
You and I talked about this last week. The 70th is not a huge deal.
Nope.
It's another milestone. It's great to get to 70. There'll be some cool things that happen, but this will not be a blown up celebration like 50 or 60. It just won't.
I was really worried that they were going to, which I don't know why 60 is a big deal.
Because it's diamond. It's diamond.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But regardless, I thought that the 70 was just touched enough. But also, it didn't seem like, hey, we're going to put a bunch of money into this. Was a little surprised they didn't announce Paint the Night coming back for that. But I guess it's not a new parade, so maybe you don't need to announce it at D23 at this big event.
Absolutely.
Also, a 90-minute event that went 2.5 hours. You cut things, I guess.
Yeah, I Paint the Night. It's going to come back somewhere in some form. It's not something for this event.
Yeah.
We have got to get away, and I'll talk about this later on in the episode, I'm sure. We have got to get away from nostalgia. You can incorporate it into new projects, but we got to stop with we're going to bring something back from the past. Those are things that can be shoehorned in.
Sure. Or random announcements on a Tuesday, because, you know,
yeah,
they do that.
You got to spread it all out. You can't do it all in one night.
Yeah. I guess not. But Eric, the first big announcement that they did, which again really didn't add anything to what we knew, except that Disney finally confirmed that there is a new Avatar
Yeah.
destination coming to Disney California Adventure. They had said it, and then they're like, oh, maybe it's not that. Who knows? Who knows? And then it's coming to Disney California Adventure, a new location on Pandora. It's going to be inspired by Avatar: Way of Water, Avatar: Fire and Ash, which they announced is the next movie, and then more films as well. And it does include a boat ride that very much looks like it's the same system as Pirates of the Caribbean: Battle of the Sunken Treasure out in Shanghai, and
It better be.
it better be. I was gonna say it better be, but beyond that, everybody's big question going into D23 and still coming out of D23 is, where is this going? We'll talk a little bit more about attractions that we might think might be on the chopping block because of these announcements. But I thought we might get a where for Avatar, and they didn't give us that.
No, because it's going somewhere that isn't landscaped yet.
I don't necessarily agree.
I do.
We'll talk about that later. Anyway.
And I agree that this should have been the first announcement because it's something we already knew about, and now it's like, okay, we know it's going to DCA. We assumed it would, but now it's confirmed. It's also confirmed that it's a land, right? They didn't really confirm it was a land. I know Bob slipped up in an interview on ABC a while ago and said the word land and then changed it later to experience. So now we know it's a land for sure. Yeah, I think it was a great way to kick off the night, get people excited, a couple more details. Artist concepts of new attractions always get people talking. So good start.
Then they threw a curveball, which I thought was very interesting right out the gate. Eric, DCA is getting another boat ride.
All the boat rides for DCA. Yeah. The new Coco attraction that's going into DCA, which I was reading up on where this could possibly go. And there's some interesting thoughts behind that as well. But there's a lot of talk that this may have been the idea that they wanted to do at the Grand Fiesta Tour at Epcot, that this might have been the layover there. And they decided, you know what? No, we're just going to build a whole attraction. And Christian, there is no better place to put a Coco attraction than at DCA. There really isn't.
Oh, no.
And that goes to the demographic here in Southern California, where that Viva Navidad and the Plaza de la Familia and all the Coco experiences they've driven in over there during the holiday seasons are just absolutely packed. You can barely walk through Paradise Gardens over there when those things are going on.
Yep.
So great move. I'm excited for this attraction. It's going to be a while before we see it. And again, that's another thing we'll talk about in a bit.
Yeah, breaking ground in 2026. They promised the greatest and latest in audio animatronic technology, which is great because I know we're getting it with Tiana's, but it's going to be cool to see that in a new attraction and not just a made-over attraction. Another interesting on where it could be. We're going to go through a lot of where it could be later in the show. We're just kind of hitting the bullet points here.
Yeah.
And one thing that's really good, Eric, Disneyland Paris has never had its own thing. Has never had that one thing that you can only get at Disneyland Paris. And they're finally getting that. A Lion King themed land with a Lion King themed, let's call it Splash Mountain flume ride, is going to Disneyland Paris. This is huge.
But the good news is it doesn't snow in Paris ever. So a water ride in the wintertime should be no problem.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
I think there was one big thing about the concept art that needs to be clarified here is that this is not based on the new live action movies. And I know I used the term live action loosely because they didn't use animals.
Yeah.
This is based on the original animated film. So that is very promising.
It's 30 years in the making.
Literally. And I know there'll be a lot more new technologies once they start building this thing, and animatronics being one of them, of course. This was the one announcement I was sad that we weren't getting in the States. This was the one that I said, man, I wish we could have had that here.
It's good, though. It's good that Paris is getting something like this. They needed their own highlight thing, and I know they're getting ready with world premiere or whatever, world park, whatever it's called,
Adventure World.
That's the word. But this is really good for them. Odd with that concept art because it definitely had stuff from the live action one. I wonder if that was just a Chapek holdover that Chapek was very much capitalizing on now, not worried about nostalgia in that case.
Mhm.
I wonder if that was just like we'll do it at some point, and they just used that artwork because they didn't have anybody to sketch some cartoons.
Now,
But
now this is part of what I was talking about earlier when I said you can shoehorn nostalgia in and just not make everything come back that was in the past. This is a brand new experience using something that we love
Mhm.
from our childhood that you can now incorporate into the future.
Yep.
That's the type of nostalgia you need to capitalize on, not
Mhm.
bringing things back from the past in its entirety.
Absolutely, absolutely, and this is going to be a good one. This is going to be huge. Then come back to California. Boy, did they like bouncing around a map on this thing. I was like,
Well, it was funny, right? Because when they announced the couple things at DCA and then they moved on, everybody, I know you and I were following on social media a lot, and people were like, "Is that it? Is that it for
yeah,
California? Are we done with that?"
yeah. I wish they did do everything like in segments. I don't know. I
I know
just
you and I are organized. We
what
like
a
that type
what a
of stuff.
weird bouncing back and forth. But they came to California, said we're going to Disneyland, and we're changing something at the Main Street Opera House, and I almost had a heart attack
Yeah, you did.
because they made it sound like Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln was just flying away. Well, we learned that it is going to rotate, Eric, with the man that started this whole thing.
Now, I didn't read the article on this one completely. I don't know if you did, but when they say rotate, is this daily? Is this showly?
So it is next year will be for the kickoff for the 70th. Walt Disney A Magical Life will be the premier attraction. So
Right.
I don't know if that gives them time to work on the Lincoln figure still, because it's not
Yeah.
going to be rotating. But then it sounded like it will be a every other show kind of thing,
Right.
which
Which is
is
what it
great that
needs
they
to
can
be.
do. Great
Yeah.
that they can
Yeah.
do that.
and
Um,
they need to, because if you're traveling from a long distance and this is on something on your bucket list or your
mhm.
checklist you want to see, it better be there.
Yep. And this is going to be something I think we see move to other parks at some point. Having a unless they just want to keep it in Walt's original park, but having a Walt animatronic is going to be insane. It's Walt Disney A Magical Life coming to the Main Street Opera House at Disneyland, coming for the 70th anniversary. Be kind of cool if they opened it on Disneyland's birthday. That'd be kind
Yeah,
of cool.
yeah, that would be nice. And Christian, can you remind me which property, out of all the Disneyland parks, which properties did Walt step foot on?
Only Disneyland.
Oh, that
Mm,
okay. That
yeah,
animatronic needs to stay here, and that's
yeah.
it. It goes nowhere else.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll
Yep.
see. Then Eric, a beloved former Indiana Jones cast member, much more recent in the Loki series, Kiwan appears on stage, beginning the conversation about Disney's Animal Kingdom. This was another one that a lot of people were looking forward to getting some answers. They had blue skied it up. Oh, what do we think? And then all of a sudden, things were being removed from the dinosaur area, trees. It was like, oh, I guess we're doing this. They laid out a whole area for Imagineering to start working. So we knew the announcement was coming, and Indiana Jones is officially taking over our beloved dinosaur attraction, Eric.
Yes. And I think the biggest harp on this one was, what does Indiana Jones have to do with animals? Because it's an animal kingdom. The attraction is a disaster right now. You know it. I know it. We all know it. Does that mean they needed to pivot to something else? That could be up for discussion. I'm fine with this. It's a jungle theme. Maybe they incorporate animals into the attraction itself. They did say it's a brand new story, so
Mhm.
we know it's not going to be a duplicate of California. Um, the track is what, a little less than a half the size of ours out here in California.
Mm.
So it's going to be a much shorter experience than what we have. So you really have to wow people with what you're going to put in there.
Mhm.
Um,
From what I heard, the concept to keep it themed to Animal Kingdom is that there will be some mythical, mystical creature that is the antagonist of this whole thing.
which is
Which,
fine, because mythical creatures was in the original concept for
mhm.
Animal Kingdom.
Yep, yep, and they're using them everywhere else. Yeti is technically mythical, although I do think I've seen a
Oh
weird
God,
snowman. Anyway,
here we go. Oh, and Avatar
and
too, right?
Avatar, yeah, Avatar,
Yeah.
obviously they were like, well, let's just steer straight into that. And so it'll be interesting. One thing I was very happy about in this big announcement is the new carousel that they are bringing to this America's what's it called, the
Tropical Americas.
Tropical Americas.
Pueblo Esperanza.
Yeah, you can use their Spanish all you want. I'm not gonna try. Featuring animals from Disney past. They even revealed on Sunday morning a carved Kevin animal that you'll be able to write. This is a great way of making use of not having a bunch of space, but not keeping Triceratops spinning.
Right. Yeah, this is something that needs to replace Dino Land. Essentially, you have to have something like that. In the area, because there was something there before for the young ones. So this is that thing that needs to be there.
I'm just so happy they're not replacing. I'm happy they're not putting a new skin on Triceratops spin. Like,
right,
they could have easily done that.
Yeah,
and I'm so glad they're not.
They could have. Nope, said everything comes down, and we put new things in, which is great, because in that section with these announcements, you know, aside from retheming an existing attraction, this is basically a start from scratch. It's basically a start from scratch, and it's what the area needed.
Yep. From what I heard, Restaurantosaurus is going to be turned into a Latin style restaurant. I know that there's a bar right next to Restaurantosaurus that was revealed to us on this show, and now I will never get to visit it. I hope that they keep something like that there when they open this. The other big announcement for this area that was already alluded to, but now they officially made it, is that Encanto is going to get a major attraction here based on the day that Antonio receives his powers, which is to communicate with animals. Great save, Disney. Great save on keeping this an animal-themed area.
Once they said they were getting an Encanto attraction, you knew this was going to be it.
Yep.
At least that this was going to be a major part of it. And you're going to go through the casita and all the different rooms and all that. So you'll get to see the whole house. But the finale, or the climax of the attraction, will be with all these animals. And it almost... Now, you've been to Universal Studios in Florida, correct?
I have, yes.
Have you ridden E.T.?
I have not. I did not ride that one.
So, and I know it was gone, I think, before you were born here in California. But E.T., when you first enter E.T.'s home planet, and this was years and years ago, back in the 90s, right? When I first went on it, and how bright and colorful it was back then, and the reveal of that planet. I mean, this is the level of... holy smokes, what did I just enter? That they are going to need for that particular room.
Yeah.
It needs to be bright, colorful, music everywhere. Give me all those animatronics. There were two things that stood out to me in that concept art, Christian. The first one was the attraction vehicle itself. We were told it's probably going to be enchanted furniture, right? But if you look in the concept art, you can't really see what people are sitting in. And that led a lot of people to think it was going to be a boat. You're not going to take a boat ride through a house. It's not going to happen. What do these things look like? I have to know. So good on them for covering that part. Second part. Where's Bruno? He's not in the concept.
Where's Bruno? Well, we don't talk about him. We don't talk about Bruno, Eric.
No, we don't. But spoiler alert, eventually we did.
Oh, what?
So is he going to be creeping around in there through the whole thing? I tend to think yes. And I almost wonder if there's going to be like Easter eggs or things alluding to him in every single room throughout the attraction.
It's interesting. I will put my this is my fault. I know I'm a pro. I don't think I've actually watched Encanto all the way through. I want to. I'm definitely going to, probably within the next week, because
let me tell you why I don't fault you for things like that. First of all, I don't watch a ton of movies. Everybody knows this. Second of all, there's so many damn movies out there. Like there's so many you've seen that I haven't, and vice versa.
Yeah, there's a lot. Indiana Jones, all of them.
We get harped on that pretty
quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then well, that land's going to open in 2027. I like that they're going to do everything all at once, because the carousel is something they could have done next week. I mean, granted, if they've been working on it, right? The only worry I have with the carousel is wooden creature. Like I don't want a splinter. What are we doing? Anyway,
you'll be fine.
Yeah, I know. But the land opens in 2027, something very much to look forward to. I want to say a much needed expansion for Disney's Animal Kingdom. It's not really an expansion. They're adding 2 rides that weren't there, changing another. But it does seem to be at least expanding the perimeter. But Animal Kingdom's just got an Avatar, right? They, they just need more things. You need more stuff to do at Animal Kingdom. It's still a half-day park, if you get in line early enough. So
they will add to it. They
Mhm.
needed to spread the wealth out
Yep.
this time around.
Yeah,
Minus Epcot.
they definitely did. Right after that in the presentation, Eric, it kind of went into a speed round where the 2 singers, who I'm blanking on both of their names right now,
Darren Criss and Skylar Austin.
they were so good.
Yeah,
Good.
They were.
They went into a speed round of announcements, making a joke of, we don't have a lot of time here, so let's just get through it. And the first one is a much awaited announcement. Tiana's Bayou Adventure is opening at Disneyland Park on November 15th in what land, Eric?
In Bayou Country, Christian.
In Bayou Country. That makes me wonder a couple of things. We'll talk a little bit later on it, but I was kind of wondering if this was going to get pushed into 2025, because they said winter of 2024, and that can always get pushed a little bit further out. When my wife Sarah saw this, she goes, "Oh, November, right in time for it to be cold out here." It's like, why did they do this? Why did they line this up? I don't.
First of all,
know.
it's
November's also hot sometimes.
I was going to say it's never cold out here. What are we
yeah, that's true. But
November 15th is the first day of the holidays at the Disneyland Resort. I cannot recall a time, and I'm probably going to get called out in the comments, and we'll get some angry emails. When the last time was that they opened an attraction the day that an event began, or seasonal offering began at the resort.
It's big. It's really big.
You gonna go get some handmade candy canes the day Tiana's open?
Bruh.
That's gonna be a good luck, operations.
Yeah, man, November 15th. That feels like they're starting it late this year.
Yeah, right. Last year it was November 11th.
Yeah, so see, they're starting.
We waited 4 days.
I know they go on weekends, and they do that.
It is a Friday.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the stupidest name in the history of the company. That's not true. There's been a lot. But Zootopia, Better Zoogether. What are we doing? What? Why? What? We know it's a Zootopia attraction already. Why do you have to add the word zoo?
Yeah, branding.
Also, I thought this was not a zoo. Anyway, regardless.
Oh my goodness. I don't know how many people are going to remember that one, but
what a callback.
Well done by you. I appreciated that.
Regardless, it opens at Animal Kingdom in winter of 2025. And then what I think is going to be the hottest ticket.
Wait, before we move on, just real quick, that Zootopia show is taking over. It's tough to be a bug, just so
I thought it was kind of safe there. Like, it's tough to be a bug needed to go here in California.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be really tough for them to move it out, but here we are. Now we're going to try to explain how animals are all under this giant tree.
It's a burrow.
It's a whatever. Regardless, what I do think is going to be the hottest ticket in town is the new lounge at Epcot on the back of Spaceship Earth. This I'm so excited for. This is in the old Siemens Lounge, which they use for like business parties and private events.
Yeah.
Now they're opening this up to everybody. I don't know how hard a reservation is going to be to get into this place, but it's going to be pretty tough.
The answer is very difficult. Yeah. And it's also one of those places where, if you and I ever go and trip out there together, we get a reservation for 11 a.m. and we stay there until 6 p.m.
You're darn right.
Yeah.
What a waste of a park day, except that it's not.
I don't care. I will add an extra day to my vacation just to do that.
Yeah.
Drinking around the world? No, I get to drink in space now.
Let's drink in space. It sounds great. Another.
That's what it is. It's drinking around the world. You see what I mean?
Stupid.
It's around.
Stupid.
You can edit that out.
Stupid.
Now leave it.
No, I'm leaving it in. We're also getting a Pirates Lounge at Magic Kingdom in 2025. The big question here, Eric, are we going to get alcohol here? Because you should if you're opening a Pirates Lounge.
Please give me a rum Dole Whip. Just
there you go.
At a bar top. At a bar top.
Wow, that'd be good. I'm very split on this because if they don't put alcohol in this area, I don't know why we're doing this, except for we need to make more money somehow.
Christian, what did I tell you about nostalgia?
I know.
Disneyland never had alcohol. It's 2024. If you think that Walt, if he was around today, wouldn't put in a bar everywhere he could, you got something else coming.
Yeah, seriously.
And you're right, it is to make money, but this is the way of the world.
This is the way.
Get on the train, or you can just watch it, wave to us goodbye from the station.
Yep, just wave. Hello. Test track also opening in 2025, reopening in 2025. I'm a little unhappy about this, and I'll tell you why. I know you're not redoing the vehicle or the ride system or anything like that. I know it's really just decor that's being redone, but I almost wanted more to be done. Like, and they didn't really give you ideas, but I'm like, I wanted this to be a complete overhaul of everything you see, and it just kind of seems like it's going to be dressed different. I don't know.
It's not a priority anymore.
No,
when it debuted, it was awesome. It's still awesome.
Oh yeah.
It's just not. It's not going to get the TLC that everything else around it is.
Yeah.
I still think the major wow moment, right, is when you zoom and the doors open and you go outside. That's what everybody looks forward to. Everything on the inside is okay. The car starts. Maybe it goes fast around a corner. That's all you need it to do.
Yeah, I guess.
It's just being reskinned. I mean, I'm with you. It's just the wow wasn't going to be put into this thing. It was just, it's way too Tron. It's way too nothing going on in here. I don't think anybody knew what the hell the ride was about.
Yeah.
Whereas the original concept at least had a story behind it, right? And I know this one is supposed to pay homage to Horizons and the world of motion and everything, but we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. It looks like they're putting trees in the inside.
Yeah, that's
there's a forest.
That's fun. Yay.
All right, Christian. The next announcement that came out was Billy Crystal, who came out on stage and
hey, better? Eric.
Oh, is that better? Right, very funny. Very funny. All right. So Billy Crystal came out, wanted to talk more about a character he voiced, and Mike Wazowski from the Monsters Inc. franchise. And we're getting a Monsters Inc. land, Christian, and this one is going to Disney's Hollywood Studios, and this is another where is it going to go land or announcement, if you will.
Yes,
and
it is.
For me, this was number 2 on the list of I wish we got that out here in California.
Interesting. I like it at Hollywood Studios. Because
I like it there too. I agree.
Hollywood Studios has certainly had we'll talk about it more when we talk about where this is going to go. That park is such a weird jigsaw right now. Like it already was. Add this in any of the 3 or 4 spots we've kind of speculated, it's still a weird jigsaw. Regardless, Eric, I just want to go back to the last episode when I was like, I'm hearing rumors of a Monsters Inc. roller coaster, and I had not heard land anywhere. That was completely out of the park, and I'm so excited. I am so freaking excited.
Attraction looks great. I hope it has some speed to it. I don't need it to be ridiculous. Doesn't need to be like Rockin'. And just give it some speed. Did you see the model for it? It's awesome. They're gonna literally lift you off of one track to another. That's intense.
Well, and we'll see how that works. I think it's going to be the same kind of technology when we get to Avengers Campus here at California. It's going to be that same thing where a thing is moving you from one place to another. This probably won't be as visible. It'll probably just be behind you. But dude, this is
either way.
This is peak Disney Imagineering. This is it.
That's the attraction part. The land part. Did you see in there Harryhausen's was lurking in the background of one and in the foreground?
Is it going to be over here? Is it going to be over here?
Where's it going to go? They can't just have a sushi restaurant, Hollywood Studios, right?
Oh, they certainly can. I would think they could. I think it will be a Japanese restaurant. It doesn't necessarily have to be sushi only.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. But
that's too niche, and I think that won't do well from a sales standpoint.
I won't touch it.
In a theme park? Yeah. How are you going to eat sushi in the middle of the day at a theme park? And I mean, you've got to keep pizza somewhere in there, right? For the kids, maybe at a
Yeah.
different location.
You're speculating location. Interesting.
So
Interesting.
I'm thinking Harryhausen's is a table service, much like we see a Teppanyaki Ito or Tokyo Dining.
I was gonna say, I think it's a Teppanyaki Ito.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
does that take away from Teppanyaki Ito a
No.
little bit? No.
No,
Okay.
because this one will be much more
Themed.
movie themed. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it'll be more family oriented. Not that Teppanyaki Ito isn't,
Will it be
because
more?
obviously the show is the chef, but
Will it be more family priced?
there ain't nothing family priced anymore. Stop it.
Fair. Okay.
If you ain't rich, you ain't going. Look, you're either
Good Lord.
you're saving up to go. This is just business. It's just business. As long as keep people paying the prices they are now, they will continue to go up. And I don't want to hear, oh, they're pricing out the look. That's life. It sucks. It's life. You complain about it all you want. They're not coming down.
No, they're not. But
no.
But
now, if you want to argue, will it be cheaper than other locations that might offer the same experience? Maybe. But it ain't going to be cheap.
No, if anything, it might be more, but if it's all themed and there's characters. Maybe.
I was going to say you have characters walking through there.
There needs to be at least an animatronic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like that needs to be the head of the restaurant. Is the octopus cooking? Like
right,
has to be.
Now, I'd really hope it is an animatronic and not like. Now, this is not a knock on what Universal did with the Toadstool Cafe, but I would say I would worry that there'd be a screen of him cooking.
That would be unfortunate.
Yeah, because at Toadstool Cafe at Universal Studios and Super Nintendo World, they have windows that look out into the video game landscape, and it's all screens, which makes sense. You can't actually look out into a video game in real life.
Sure.
So I understand why they did it like that, but it really would have been cool if there was an animatronic in there.
Yeah. I think
so. Yeah.
I think that whole land offers opportunity. I think there will be other attractions. We'll talk a little bit later about one that I think might be there. I know we have a show list and nobody else knows the notes, but we got a little game plan later, and I think something could happen here.
We got to stop talking about food though, because I haven't eaten today, and
all right, fair enough.
I'm very hungry.
Let's talk about then what I think might have been the biggest down point of the entire production of the show. Mater joining the show through a video app, but having technical difficulties. I didn't get it. Like, I was like, what's the shtick here? Like, why does he need to have technical difficulties? I get it. He's like broke down on the road, but like, why did you even do this? Why don't you have Larry the Cable Guy come out or something? I just thought it was a weird animated shtick for this whole thing.
Do you think it was a last second replacement because maybe Larry couldn't make it? They
certainly could.
Maybe they thought they were gonna, roll the car out on the tow truck out onto stage, but couldn't get it. Maybe this was the plan B.
Certainly could have been, but still the glitchy webcam. This isn't Drafting the Magic. This is D23. Like, oh shoot, did I say that? Yeah, I thought the glitchy webcam shtick, first off, went a little too far. It almost went as far to the stupid as Scott Trowbridge did to, was it Scott Trowbridge that did the Avengers? I know it was one of the Imagineers. I'm forgetting what his name was. But did the Avengers thing. It was like, oh, how is Spider-Man and Peter Parker? I was like, dude, give it up.
It was Trowbridge.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. But like, I just thought that was a weird thing. But Mater did come in to help announce that Frontierland at Magic Kingdom is expanding with 2 new attractions based on Disney and Pixar's Cars franchise, changing the theme to Frontierland of, just like there's a bunch of things out there. It helps lump in the fact that there's a mine train ride, a Country Bears ride, a Princess Tiana ride, and also Cars all in the same area. And then as of this morning, Eric announced that this is officially going to take out the Rivers of America, the Liberty Bell ship, the Tom Sawyer Island. That all needed to go 10 years ago. Like, I
And
don't think.
I talked to you about this just before we started recording about how social media right now is losing their mind that rivers of America are going away.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we don't care that, people can't walk on water, and they're actually going to utilize the space to suck in people. Like, this was part of the charm of the stop. You got to stop. I'm going to say it again, Christian. I'm going to get a t-shirt with it printed on it. You can either get on the train or you can wave goodbye to us at the platform.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because this is Walt is rolling over. Stop. You don't know what he would have thought.
Yep.
The 1950s were different.
Yep. I will say I don't care as much about those three things. Like, I really don't.
Right.
Fine. I don't love the idea of cars being in Frontierland. I just don't. I don't think it vibes. I don't think it vibes with what the original concept of Frontierland was. But like you said, say goodbye to your nostalgia. We ain't there anymore. I just think it's weird. I think it's so weird. And I will say, I think it's weird that you're putting cars in Magic Kingdom, but you have Toy Story Land, now a Monsters Inc. land. You could have done something with cars over in Hollywood Studios too. You have plenty of room around that park to do so. I think it's weird. I think it's very weird that you are separating, but not my money. It's gonna be my money. That's what I'm gonna pay to watch it. But
are there other ideas they could have used? Probably. I think this is fine because the landscape and everything is going to match the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The theme being cars. Look, everybody complains about IP. Like, oh, that all they're doing is using IP. Yeah, because guess what? When the park opened back when it did, they didn't have any IP. Like, they've accumulated this over all these years. And by the way, Haunted Mansion and Pirates and all that stuff is IP. It is IP. They created it. And now they have other things that make billions of dollars. Guess what? If you want to go ride like you did at Radiator Springs Racers, which everybody loves, you're going to get a similar experience now in Florida. And the lines are going to be long. Because people are going to want to go on it. So you can complain all you want that your river is going away and that your big peaceful little ship is going. Those days are gone. They are gone. I talked about nostalgia earlier. You can shoehorn it in the future, but things that existed once ago, once upon a time, are going away. And that was what Walt wanted. Guys, you know his history. He wanted it to evolve. And you want to argue and sit there and say it's losing its cohesion and the story doesn't flow and the plot, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. It's put this movie IP in there, build an attraction around it that's thrilling and or family friendly, and get people to buy tickets to come to the park. Welcome to the new age.
I think it's
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm going off the rails.
I think it's also it's interesting that they said that they're going to be two rides, right? It's almost going to be a mini Cars Land in Frontierland. None of the other attraction things have two rides, but there will be a second family-friendly ride. I don't think it'll be Mater's or anything like Mater's because you have that in Hollywood Studios with alien swirling saucers. Now,
but is it me or in the concept art? Can you see it?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't really looked at it.
Because I think you can see it in there, and it almost kind of looks like Mater's, but not those vehicles.
Sure.
They look different. You know what it almost looks like to me?
What's that?
It almost looks like Luigi's.
I was wondering if Luigi's would go. There's another concept that I think it could be. We will talk about that later on too.
Just tell me now.
No, that's not fun. Got to keep the people waiting. Right. Regardless, the other one does certainly seems to be the Radiator Springs Racers technology. Racers doesn't really go up and down hill. And this one looks like you're going to be going down a mountain at some point. At Test Track, you go up and down, but you don't really do that at Radiator Springs at a severe incline or decline. I think that'll be an interesting thing to see.
Well, it's the next evolution in those ride vehicles, right? Because the Radiator Springs Racers vehicles came from Test Track. The original Test Track. Then Test Track got upgraded vehicles, the ones that can track, with the Magic Band and all of that.
Exactly.
And they maneuvered the same, though. These ones are probably going to incorporate all that into one where they can take on a bit of a rougher terrain and interact with your Magic Band or whatever.
This is going to be insane. It's going to be insane.
Also,
Talk.
they did. I did just find out too. This is breaking news from about an hour ago. I know we're probably more than an hour in, but Disney has already filed permits with water management down there in Florida to start work on this new Cars area
Gotta go.
immediately.
Gotta go.
The permits are being filed.
Gotta go. Here we go.
Oh.
Speaking of water, Disney is really good on the water. At least I've been told. I haven't been on a Disney cruise. But Disney Cruise Line had a couple of announcements still to throw out there. One of them was talking about Moana, the stage show. I think it's going to be on the Disney Treasure. And then they did announce that Hercules, I don't know why they did all those Disney Destiny announcements 2 weeks ago when you had, D23 coming up, but they did announce that there's going to be a Hercules show on the Disney Destiny. Kind of goes along with my thoughts on the Monsters Inc. area of they're pulling stuff from the 90s and 2000s because they realize people love it. And I think we're going to get more of that. I think more stuff of that is going to come down the line. But you always say, they're not doing this stuff for our generation. They're doing it for the next generation and the one after that. I kind of feel like they're all of a sudden trying to win back this generation with some of these things. I'm like, Hercules, my kid's not going to care about Hercules, but I care about Hercules.
Well, it's because you're the one who gets to spend the dollar and the kid can't.
That's true. You're darn right.
So you have to have some things in there.
They got to please people. But the other announcement for Disney Cruise, and this took me by shock, is that they are adding another 4 ships, not the 4 that are on their way. An additional 4 ships, 13 total by the end of 2031. Oh my gosh.
Is there enough water to put these things on?
So, like, where do you put all this? And I know other companies have a vast amount of ships.
I know.
So this isn't like they're going to be the first to do this, but holy crap.
No, but they're a lot bigger.
Yeah, they are.
I know that. Yeah, lucky number 13.
Oh,
the number of ships by, what'd they say, 2031?
2031, yeah, was the what are you, nuts? Like,
you'll have 13 different theme parks to choose from, and now 13 different cruise ships to choose from.
At some point, I'm going to have to hop on a Disney cruise. We're going to get there.
At what point does one of those ships just dock at Tokyo?
Interesting.
Tokyo Disneyland's right on the water, right?
It is. I was more wondering at what point do one of those ships get retired? At what point do they start cycling out? I don't think it's now.
What are they on? 20 something years? 22?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What is that? Wonder and Magic are the oldest ones.
Magic was first, Wonder was second.
Yeah. At what point do they? I was talking to somebody this weekend. Marissa Nice, our season 2 debut, or was it our debut or when we came back? Whenever it was. No, because your brother was season 2 debut. Regardless, Marissa Mouse Clubhouse or something on Instagram. I'll make sure that's in the correct comment or whatever. She and I were talking about it because she's been on all the Disney cruises, or at least a bunch of them. And she was talking about somebody else who had gone from like the Wish or something like that, one of the newest ones, and then they rode the oldest one, and they were like, this is not good. Like, comparatively, the new ships are just blowing out the old ship, which is going to happen. That's technology, and certainly in that realm. So I wonder when they either refurbish or maybe retire ships and start cycling out. I don't think it's anytime soon. Could it be in the next 6 years? Maybe, but I mean, who knows how many more ships they're going to announce in the next 6 years?
Yeah, no, I've been on the Magic, and it's still to this day the best vacation I've ever taken in my life.
Yeah,
and I haven't been on a ship since. So whatever they've done with the new ones, maybe you move those ships to lesser desired destinations or for shorter cruises for a while. But ultimately, you're right. They're going to have to be retired out to the yard because they're just not going to be able to keep up.
Yep. You know what? They will always be able to keep up. Is a digital landscape, Eric. And holy smoke, how about that transition? I know I don't really talk about it, but that was a pretty good one. That was a pretty good one.
Every now and again, you throw in an awesome one, so well done.
Disney and Epic Games are collaborating on a Disney park experience that can be accessed from wherever you are, 24/7, 365. Basically a virtual theme park, except you're going to be able to access everything. They called it a digital playground. I don't want to see this happen because I want physical parks to exist, and I don't think they're not going to. But talk about capturing the next generation. Uh, this is a big thing. This is a huge thing.
They said at the start of the Fortnite stream the other night on Saturday that there was over 1 million people watching the
Mhm.
live stream through Fortnite. This is a brilliant business decision by the company to get involved with such a popular franchise. So good on them for doing it. Christian, I cannot emphasize how much I do not care about this. I I will never play Fortnite. You will never catch me in there. I think that,
Oh.
I think they made the right move. And look, it ain't about me. I'm
No,
just
it's
saying.
not.
I'm just saying from a personal opinion standpoint of us doing this show, I don't care.
Neither do I. I don't care.
Yeah.
What I do care about though is that it's going to bleed into the theme parks, Eric.
It's going to. I mean, some of the characters that get created or introduced in there are probably going to make an appearance, right? That's how you drive people to go to theme parks. It's called synergy,
Yeah,
cross
but
promotion.
don't worry about those characters. They're bringing the tech, or at least the design, to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, both at Disney's Hollywood Studios and at the Disneyland Park. You brought this up to me because I kind of missed this part. They're bringing in the professionals to design Disney's video game ride, which, let's be honest, not everybody loves.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, longest name. Just, can we shorten the names? There's a couple of like when they were like Avengers Defense Initiative or whatever it was, Infinity Defense. I was like, where's the other 12 words that you're gonna tag on to this?
There's no punctuation. Wait, what?
Regardless, the new stuff is going to be based on the Mandalorian and Grogu film. This is going to be cool.
Yes, that ride is video game. There's no two ways about it. Why not bring those pros in? You have a deal now. You're going to use their platform. They can use their own platform to market your company, which is a great move by them. And then on the other side, from a Disney perspective, we want you to come in and help us with our theme park attractions. Absolutely. I mean, the engines they use to run Fortnite have to, first of all, hold a ton of capacity, right? With how many users they have. So that is going to be faster and it's going to be a lot more clear. And I think this will solve a lot of motion sickness problems for people because that can happen on attractions like that. But more importantly, just the gameplay itself. I mean, there's probably not going to be a ton of lag. They'll figure that part out and they'll just make it look better and run better and feel better for everybody that gets involved with the attraction. Smuggler's Run is the B attraction to Rise in Galaxy's Edge. We all know that, no doubt about it. But how do you plus up something that already exists? And this is absolutely a brilliant way to do that.
Yep. I hope they do this for everything else in the future. I hope they never bring back the original show. I hate the original show. I think it's the worst new attraction Disney's created.
I think there was too big of a gap from when Hondo, because Hondo is not a household name in the greater Disney universe. He's a household name in what was it, Clone Wars, or I'm not a Star Wars. I'm not that deep into Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm not that deep, but he was not somebody that everybody was familiar with. So when that whole storyline came about with Smuggler's Run, a lot of people were like, "Who the hell is that?" Like, I don't know who that is. And now he's kind of coming to his own. But you're right. The original version of the attraction needs help. I don't mind them bringing it back as long as they can, redo it a little bit.
Well, after that, Eric, Deadpool showed up and Deadpool did Deadpool things. And we saw in the movie that he was allowed to make fun of Disney. In this, he was allowed to make fun of the Disney parks, and it was comedy gold. He comes out and he's talking to Josh, and he's like, "I know you've always said no 100 times, and I don't mean to sound like a broken Yeti." And when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, gloves are off. He's gonna go off." Then he's gonna talk about his what he called Destination Deadpool 75, and he said, "Today I'm gonna melt your mind like it's a beloved 40-foot animatronic dragon." This was steering right into what every Disney fan loves about the parks. And, okay, we can kind of laugh at what's happened before. And then letting Deadpool come in and do it. it was just perfect. Let's go through some of the things that was on what were in his Destination Deadpool 75 reel, what he called brown sky ideas. Josh quickly corrected him and said, no, it's blue sky. And he said, not when I'm done with it. Which great Deadpool joke. He said the Chimichanga Chaser, which good old Disney fans will know that picture that he put up was the old Superstar limo marquee. I saw that. I was like, no, that's, oh my gosh. He said it's going to be a dueling coaster attraction. And in the animation, it was deemed the world's first F ticket. Probably as close as you could get to an F word in this panel. Then he said this next one's going to be a bigger hit than an expensive Spider-Man animatronic that hits the wall. You know, that wasn't nearly as big of a deal, but it was still funny.
So
then he brought up Deadpool's Heck House, keeping it clean for you, Disney, which was a Haunted Mansion style ride with a hall of baby arms, which was just the concept of that is terrifying. But it had a headstone for rocket rods in the outside. So they're making fun of old Disney stuff. Then he started talking about Run Disney, which I was like, oh, okay, they're going to use him to do a Run Disney announcement, but they didn't, which I thought was kind of weird that they bring the logo and everything. But they commented on Logan's Run for fun for the whole family, except for Grandma and Grandpa. They're probably going to hate it, which is definitely what Deadpool, I think, is described as. Signs in the crowd said the worst showman and you're a disappointment to Australia, which I thought was a really weird shot at Hugh Jackman for not having anything to do with all of this. But Deadpool's not given any of this. Josh goes, how about we'll give you a new Fortnite skin? Fishpool heading to Fortnite. He takes it as the consolation, says that Josh is killing it and that he's on fire like your dragon was. And he had drawings of not only the Phantasmic fire, but also the Festival of Fantasy Parade fire. This was A+ for Disney, Eric.
I love when people make fun of themselves. You know me, I'm all for self-deprecation, so I'm glad they did this. The first thing I took away was, thank God they didn't Disneyfy Deadpool and Wolverine, because that's what it would have been like, and it would have been awful.
Yep.
But completely appropriate for this convention. So that was fine. Some of the jokes were good. Some of them were like, well, all right.
No,
okay.
They were all amazing. Regardless.
What it does tell me, though, is especially with the whole Broken Yeti and the Fire on Dragon stuff, they're very aware of it and they're working on a solution.
I was thinking the same thing. When they were acknowledging this stuff, I was like, oh, they've got something planned.
Does that make you feel like Everest is going to go down as soon as Tropical Americas is done?
It certainly could. And it could be for a very long time. There's a reason it hasn't been fixed yet.
Right.
Well, Eric, they used this Deadpool appearance as kind of a transition to start talking about Marvel. And two of the things that they announced, I would say 3 of the 4 that they announced were not on my radar at all and not on a lot of people's radar. First off, Shanghai Disneyland is getting a Spider-Man themed roller coaster. And they hyped it up as high energy thrill coaster, very high speeds. Can I please have a Spider-Man roller coaster?
It looks great. It really does.
It looked really cool. Then they announced that Hong Kong Disneyland is finally getting their Tower of Terror. The China parks were the only 2 parks that don't have a tower. Now there's only going to be 1. But it's not a Tower of Terror. It is a Spider-Man themed drop attraction with Doc Ock. They didn't ever say that was what it was, but if you look in the concept art, it's pretty obvious. It also said it's going to be a very big attraction, which you think if they're big attractions are the ones that stick out of the ground.
So the concept art shows Spider-Man like holding the cables, right? Like the cables snapped and it fell. So if he has to grab those cables to hold everything, that means he's above the ride vehicle, right? How are you going to see him?
I don't know. How do you see Rocket the Raccoon?
Are they just going to do a shadow cast on the
very beginning? Maybe, I don't know.
I think the ceiling of that ride vehicle is going to have an
LED screen. Interesting. Yeah,
that'd be cool. I think it's going to be one of those you can look everywhere and see what's going on.
Get ready to throw up.
Well, you have to, as long as, again, when we talk about using those Fortnite engines, as long as everything looks smooth and you feel like you're there, you're going to be fine.
Please don't make it 3D.
Yeah, don't. No, you can't drop like that and be 3D. That's not going to work. Go ask Harry Potter how that turned out. But if you look at web slingers, and I know it's not everybody's favorite, but even then you feel like you are in, the camera moves, right? Through the area. Well, it's Avengers Campus. When you start moving forward.
Yeah.
If you can pull that off on 3 of the walls in your ride vehicle, you'll be fine.
That's something else. It's going to be something else. That was cool. I was like, man, I might have to go to China now. Well, I already want to go, but that was like, I might have to go check that out. 2078 or whenever it's finished. They said everything. They told media everything they announced is going to be done in 5 years. I don't believe that's true.
You got to okay, remember, these are 2 one-off attractions. Those can easily be done.
Oh, yeah, I know. But like the lands and stuff like that. But I mean, we'll see.
A land can easily be done in a couple of years. Yeah, we saw it with Cars Land.
Yeah, but
they threw that up pretty fast.
They gotta get shovels in the dirt. We already learned that some are already in the dirt, but they got to get moving. Then we came to Avengers Campus in Disney California Adventure, which was weird because Josh kind of hesitated on the name of the park, which I was like, "You're changing it. What are you doing?"
We know something, yeah.
But he didn't. Which that's another thing that I think we'll talk about later.
He didn't yet. It's gonna happen.
It has to. But he slipped on the title, but getting not 1 but 2 attractions to Avengers Campus. Finally getting the details on the e-ticket that was promised 2 D23's ago. Avengers Infinity Defense will be the opportunity to defend our world and many others. The ride vehicle looks very much like Tokyo Disney's Peter Pan vehicles. I've also heard the Spider-Man vehicle at I don't know what that is. I haven't seen it. So, but people are worried about this. I don't think Disney's going to screw this one up. I think they're going to put a lot of money into this. I hope they're going to put money into it.
I am the most optimistic person in the world when it comes to this company.
Okay.
I'm very scared for these 2 attractions.
All right. Interesting.
It feels to me that, and I know you haven't talked about the second one yet, so I'll just stick with the first one, but Avengers Infinity Defense looks to me like Marvel Star Tours.
Yeah, that is a word that people have used.
I am concerned. The video where it's taken off through the jump point, it looks exactly like the pre-flight boarding video of Star Tours.
Yeah,
I'm worried. I hope this thing moves along a track. It might be trackless or whatever, but I'm scared it's Star Tours. And if you're gonna, obviously, since it's multiverse, there's probably going to be a ton of different versions of this thing, which is cool, I guess. But please do something else.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah. King Thanos is announced as the adversary. We knew that D23 ago. But they had a picture of him in the hall, and they said that Asgard, Wakanda, and New York City were all teased as potential locations for the attraction destinations. Interesting, when they said New York City, they didn't have Avengers Tower. They showed Sanctum Sanctorum from Doctor Strange. So I thought that was an interesting, like, oh, we're going to go to New York, but we're not going to that New York.
Not that New York.
Regardless, construction begins in 2025. Stoked about this. Have hated Avengers Campus since it opened. I just think that they missed, and this expansion is much needed. The other part of it is that 4th attraction that's being added. Tony Stark's workshop is opening up for us to go in. There are going to be crane arms that grab your vehicle, pick it up, and put it in a different location or something like that. Stark Flight Lab is the name. And they did announce that you're going to have to go on it more than once because there's going to be different variations. And my favorite part of the announcement of this is that Robert Downey Jr. will be reprising his role as Tony Stark for both new attractions, already coming off of that Doctor Doom announcement. You knew they were going to use him. But I do like that it's not going to be the Bradley Cooper double in Cosmic Rewind. Like, It's better when you have the actual voices and stuff going
Right.
on. And like Tom Holland being in the Spider-Man Web Slingers attraction is great. Like it'd be really dumb if it was just a different Peter Parker. So
Right.
they do need to capitalize on what's made the money. You though, like you mentioned, very worried about this attraction too.
The concept of the arm basically clipping onto your ride vehicle and moving you around and then placing you somewhere else, I think is incredibly amazing. And I think that'll be awesome. Those arms, though, look like they do not move on a track, or they're just stationary, whip you around, place you down somewhere else. And Legoland has that. So
Legoland does have that.
they don't have the whole attach and then detach part,
Yeah.
but they do have that technology where you sit in that exact same vehicle and it whips you around, and then it just puts you back right where you boarded. The good part about that attraction, which I believe is called Knights Tournament out in Legoland, if I'm not mistaken, is you select how intense you want it to be. So it's 1 through 5, and you pick your level of intensity. Your boy here did 4 because I wasn't doing 5. 4 was good for me. And 4 was pretty good. It was pretty good. So if you're able to select your intensity, which I doubt you'll be able to because this thing is going to keep grabbing different, but if it can do that, awesome. If it can't, then all right, whatever. It's still cool that it can attach and detach the vehicle itself.
I just want to see somebody think that number 1 is easy, but number 1 is
they
like
did
the
it
hardest.
backwards. You wanted the top intensity, right? That's why you picked 1.
Number 1. We're number 1. We're number 1. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You are very not thrilled about this. I am stoked about this. But again, it's because I hate Avengers Campus right now. Anything would be better than what they did, which is an okay Spider-Man ride that is just another point and shoot. I mean, granted, you get to do it with your hands. That's cool. But
you know what's crazy about web slingers, Christian? That whole using your arm to shoot at things without an actual device. You know who had that technology first? It was Legoland.
Oh, Legoland. Is Avengers just Disney Legoland? Gasp. Regardless, I'm stoked for it. I think the area needs some new stuff, and
it does. It does. One attraction isn't going to get it done.
Yeah.
I don't sit here and tell me, oh, Guardians. It was already there.
Yeah.
Stop. The expansion gave us 1 attraction, and
Mm-hmm.
it was always supposed to have 2. We knew the second one was going to come later, and pandemic be damned, and politics in the company push this to where we are now. We're getting back on the right track. I will say that I am excited for the 2 attractions as well. I'm just more skeptical about them than I am thinking they're going to be something that's going to blow us away.
Sure. Well, Deadpool came out right afterwards, after this was announced, and decided that the Fortnite skin was not enough. He is like a Disney adult in a Loungefly store, saying he needs more. He asked for a moment on stage if he can't have an attraction. He said he would give Josh time to get a new sweater. And then he summons his favorite American Idol, Abby Carter, who was, I guess, one of the most recent ones, and said,
and she's local. She's a Southern California girl.
Yeah. He said, Abby, sing like Lionel Richie's Life Depends on It, because it totally does. Just kidding, or am I? And during the song that Abby Carter sang, Deadpool had more animations of him at Disneyland, which included him seeing an outrageous wait time, him dressed as the hitchhiking ghosts, dressed as Ahsoka, which I thought was a random one, dressed as, I think, Princess Leia in Return of the Jedi, because she was in a bikini, but it was him. Then it was Minnie Mouse that was censored with a black box that said not approved by WDI. Then he was holding signs that say fix the Yeti. Then he was dressed as a character from either Food Rocks or what was the other one with the
Kitchen
food?
Cabaret.
Kitchen Cabaret. Then he was dressed as the Drew Carey figure on Superstar Limo with the tickets in his hand. Then the Big Thunder Mountain Billy Goat was dressed as Deadpool. Then Deadpool was Tinkerbell. Then it was Deadpool and Wolverine eating on a trash can, which is the biggest joke of, oh yeah, we don't have tables and chairs. You have to eat on a trash can. Then he was dressed as a doctor with a dino puppet from the dinosaur pre-show. Then he was on Matterhorn. Then there was a name tag with Vancouver, BC, which was a obvious nod to Ryan Reynolds. Then he was dressed as Jungle Cruise skipper. Then Lady Deadpool joins on the stage, hinting at possibly a meet and greet with Lady Deadpool one day. You never know. Deadpool, what a freaking show.
Always is. No doubt about it. And then, Christian, that brings us to the final announcement of the night, which I don't think anybody saw coming. There was a lot of that.
Everyone saw this coming. Everyone saw this coming.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. You're so wrong.
Didn't. Nobody, once it got to this point in the show, nobody thought it was going to happen. And then the magic mirror showed up and told Josh, you promised us something. Come on. And that's when Villains Land was finally unveiled after all these years. It's going to be a real thing. And it's going to be the best thing they've built in a long time.
It wasn't unveiled. They didn't give any details.
I don't care. I don't need details. It's happening.
I think they should have given a little detail, just a little. And I know if you look at the concept artwork, we were looking at it where you can see kind of, it looks like a Maleficent roller coaster and looks like there's another attraction, maybe even another coaster and stuff. I was like, yeah, can you give us detail at least? Don't make it feel like blue sky still. I don't know.
My thought with the reason why there's not a whole lot of detail right now is because of where they want to put it. And there's a lot of red tape that has to be broken through before they can put it there.
Oh yeah, they've got to do a lot to that area too. And if this is in that, everybody's like, oh, this isn't going to happen until 2030s. I'm okay, but they did make a comment of this is all going to happen in the next 5 years. If that is true, they're going to have to start cutting down trees quickly,
like ASAP.
Yeah.
Which who knows? As far back as it is, they could have started already and nobody would have noticed.
That's true. Josh said Earth was moving. Whether that means the things that are stuck in the Earth or not, or if just one guy walked back there with a shovel to say, "Hey, we can say we're already working on."
And
this.
Remember, this is Magic Kingdom we're talking about, which is built on the second level. It's not on the ground, and the reason for that, aside from aesthetics, is because that Earth isn't exactly easy to work with.
Yep.
So this is going to take some time.
There's a lot of Utilidor stuff back there. So it's going to be interesting. But they did announce 2 new attractions, shopping and a dining experience, which you and I have been very critical about Magic Kingdom's dining on this show. So this is a welcomed thing, I would say. I hope it's good. I hope it's really good. I hope it's not just thematic and crappy-ish food. I hope they really do go into this. The other thing, Eric, is that the project announced for Magic Kingdom, this is what Josh said, will represent the biggest land expansion for the park, bigger than New Fantasyland. And then he did say that the land's already being moved. So beyond Villains Land, because I know it's your favorite, what are your favorite and least favorite parts of this presentation?
Well, Villains Land was certainly up there. I mean, once that happened at the end, I think my jaw hit the table. I was sitting at my kitchen table watching the stream, and I said finally. I think there was a big finally that I let out in my house. That's my number one. My least favorite, I don't know that I even gave least favorite a thought. I was just so excited about the other things.
Your least favorite are all the things that aren't coming to California.
I guess if that's the worst way to put it. I just, the only thing I've really voiced my concern during the show has been the Avengers Campus attractions. So if you want to say the thing I'm least excited for, it is something I'm very excited for and not excited for simultaneously because I'm worried about it. When we find out a little bit more about it, I think maybe I'll come around. But right now, it's more skepticism than anything.
That's fair. I think my favorite easily is the Monsters Inc. attraction. The land, but really the attraction.
Right.
Least favorite's probably the Cars stuff, but again, we talked, it's just because it's weird that cars are going to be there. I don't hate it like everyone else on the internet does. I just think it's weird. But I've
been on a rage on X the last couple days arguing with people. It's been fun.
Yeah, they'll all get over it.
I'm just tired of the negativity. I really am.
It's never gonna go away, buddy.
One of the big things that I was talking about with a few people was Universal versus Disney, which is good for both companies, right? It's good for competition to make the other one up their game. But you know who wins in all this every single time? All of us.
Mhm.
And all people are doing is complaining.
They complain all the time, Eric. It's just what they
Not
do.
like this. Not like this. This whole Rivers of America thing being removed from
Oh, it's
Magic
so
Kingdom
ridiculous.
has elicited so many negative responses about Walt's vision and blah, blah. Did you know Walt? Did you know him? Do you have any idea? The man said the park will never be complete.
Yeah.
It's always going to evolve. And he knew that the groundwork that he set isn't going to be around forever.
Oh yeah.
That things are going to change. So knock it off. And Christian, where's my t-shirt? You can
Where's
get
your
on the
t-shirt?
train
Yep.
or you can wave goodbye to us from your platform.
We should do a DTM. We should do a DTM shirt with that.
With the logo on
I'm
it.
gonna talk to the Main Street dudes. Anyway,
Hashtag marketing, merchandising.
well, Eric, the big thing, and I wanted to keep this at the end, and this is why I've been like, oh, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
To do all of this, while Walt Disney World certainly has room, and even Disneyland Resort has some room, if this is all happening in the next 5 years, at least at the Disneyland Resort, this ain't going across Disneyland Drive. Right?
What are we talking about?
Anything, any of these big projects that they announced this week. I don't know if they can pull off across Disneyland Drive in 5 years. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go through a bunch of attractions.
Okay.
First off, confirmed removals as of immediately as we are recording this. Dinosaur, Dinorama, get over it.
Yeah.
Rivers of America, Liberty Bell Boat, and Tom Sawyer's Island, the 5 confirmed attractions. But now we're going to play a game. How many red flags should be assigned to each of the attractions that I have on this list? So I have, we're going to go out of five flags.
Okay.
All right, Eric? We're going to start at Disney's Hollywood Studios.
All right.
Muppet Vision 3D. This is where the internet is debating right now. Where is this Monsters area going to go? How many flags out of 5? How worried should Muppet Vision 3D be?
2.5.
2.5. Wow, I think I'm right down the middle. I'm gonna assume that your guess with this is in the exact same stride then, because that Muppet Vision area is not big enough, at least in my mind, to do this. They would have to go a little further. Star Tours. Could Star Tours also be part of that? How many flags?
Because I don't want to put a 0 on something, I'll say 0.5.
All right. Oh wow. Okay, so you don't think Star Tours is being touched?
No.
All right. In Star Wars, but on the other side of the park, Star Wars Launch Bay, which is, terrible. And we're only talking about these specific, not future, because it's gonna get knocked down at some point. But
right.
Do you think Monsters Inc. is going in that area?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
So I'll stick with 2.5.
Stick with 2.5. And then a couple of the other ones, Disney Junior Play and Dance. Again, and it would have to be because of the
it would have to be because of
so you're
right.
saying
all right,
0.
1.
All right. Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy. Ooh, you brought this up to me privately. What if this isn't going in either of the places people are speculating? It's going on that side of the park. Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy.
17.5.
All right, so you think it's going over there? That's your big.
I think it's going behind Rock and Roller Coaster. There's a building back there that is utilized for backstage purposes that looks exactly like the Laugh Factory building from the movie.
All right, well, we'll have to see. Jumping over to another Disney park in the Florida spot, it is the Magic Kingdom. And this goes with something that's going on in Disney's Hollywood Studios. Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. How many red flags does Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor need to have?
In relation to
there's going to be a Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor built in Hollywood Studios. That attraction's toast, right?
They're not going to duplicate anything.
No, I'm just saying they're not going to keep it there, right?
Yeah, they will.
Oh, all right. You think? All right. I'm gonna give it.
It's not going
5 red flags.
It's not going to be removed because of Monsters Inc. or Monstropolis, whatever it's going to be called.
I think it is, and they build it better over there. That's my guess, but that's all.
I'm going to tell you why.
All right.
Star Tours still exists in Tomorrowland.
You're not
out
wrong.
here.
It's stupid. It's stupid. But that's because
Yeah,
they
I
haven't
don't
done
say
anything at Tomorrowland.
I was
I
gonna
think
say
once Tomorrowland's being redone, it's gone.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. But in relation to this particular project, no, I don't think it
Fair.
gets touched. No.
Fair. All right. Two more on this. Because there is a Cars attraction, two Cars attractions going into Magic Kingdom, Tomorrowland Speedway. Is that threatened by the fact that there's cooler Cars attractions in the park? Because everybody said, well, why do you have Autopia now that you have Disney, or now you have Radiator Springs Racers and California Adventure? Do you think Tomorrowland Speedway could be on the chopping block for a bigger Tomorrowland thought?
This one is tough to measure because it very well could be, but also not at the same time, because they've already announced that out here in California they're going to do something better with the Autopia cars. Now, that's not related to another attraction, right?
Yeah.
But in Florida, if they decide to do that out there as well, is that directly related to a Cars attraction coming in, or is it just because they want to be more eco-friendly?
Well, and I speculated immediately, what if one of those Cars attractions is a attraction where you can drive your car around? I don't know if it will be that way, but I think it's at least a slim possibility, in which case I don't think you need Tomorrowland Speedway at all.
Yeah, I think the Speedway's days are numbered. It's probably a pretty big number, but they are numbered. It's not going to last very long. After once everything that was announced the other day is done, I think that's when that stuff starts to go.
Yeah. The last one, it's not going to go forever, but at least for possibly another significant amount of time. The Walt Disney World Railroad just can't seem to catch a break with all these expansion talks. They're going to have to shut it down for villains, right?
Yeah, they're going to have to reroute some things. But it's not
just got it open.
It's not going anywhere.
No, it's not going anywhere.
If we want to talk about things in the parks that will never be touched, that is the one. Yep. And as much as people want to complain and sit there and be like, nothing is untouchable. Yeah, technically nothing is untouchable, but they won't do anything with the railroad.
I'm going to try to gauge the things that we didn't actually give red flags for. If I'm putting a little graphic at them, I don't know. Let's see what we do. All right, let's move over to the Disneyland Resort, Eric, our bread and butter. And we'll start in the Disneyland park because there's only one on the list that I'm worried about.
Okay.
And it's directly because they changed the name of the land it is in. Okay. Is Winnie the Pooh, Adventures of whatever it's called, in at least a little bit of danger with this change?
Nope, because they're keeping Pooh's Corner.
That's true.
They're not going, and they've announced that retail location over there is going to remain the same, and they wouldn't do that if they were going to tax all that.
So you're going to give it a 0. I'll give it a 0 flags.
I will do the 0.5 because, as I said, I'm not a big fan of the 0.
That's fair. I'm gonna give it a 3. I think
that's a lot.
It might not be immediate, but I do think this is spelling the end of the road for Winnie the Pooh.
Do you think they're going to replace it?
I wouldn't be surprised if a show shows back up.
No, they're not bringing it back.
I wouldn't be surprised.
They're not bringing it back.
I don't think it will, but I'm all right. Let's move over to California Adventure. This is the longest list I have. Yeah. Because there's a lot of different ways that they can go about this. Now, you've made it clear that you think that Avatar is going in a place that is not currently theme park.
Yes.
I'm assuming you're meaning across the street.
Yeah, part of the Disneyland Forward project.
So a lot of this you're probably going to say is no, but we're still going to go it anyway. The other one is the Coco attraction, right? The Coco attraction. Right. What are we doing here? So I'm just going to go through these. This one, though, is directly because of the Avengers Campus expansion. And I think I know this more than anybody, at least more than you, because I worked the attraction. The red car trolley, I think, is in grave danger because of this expansion. Now, I do think there is a slim corridor where they could keep the barn where they service the trolleys right behind that wall that's Avengers Camp. But this seems, I'm worried about the red car trolley. How would you rate the worry of the red car trolley just because of the expansion of that Avengers Campus area?
3, leaning toward 3.5.
Okay.
It doesn't fit there anymore. That far down.
Well, and it hasn't, right? And so you don't see the trolley go back there. they've made it a point to just have the trolley stop on Hollywood Boulevard and
Mhm.
stuff, and they don't take it back there unless there's an emergency.
Right.
During guests can't watch it go back through that
Right.
way. But I just part of me thinks, okay, well, they built the door, like, why would they take it out that quick? But also, I think that Avatar is going on the backlot area, so that changes a lot of the Hollywood land.
You think
I
Avatar is going in the backlot
I think
area?
Avatar is going on the backlot and the bus area.
No.
I think it is. I think it is expanding that way. So, I'm going to take it that Hyperion Theater, Monsters Inc., Mike and Sully the Rescue, the Animation Building, Sunset Showcase Theater, and that's it on my list. You think are completely safe in the immediate.
No, I don't.
Ooh, that's where you think Coco's going.
Coco is going to take over the bus drop-off zone.
Coco's going to take. Wow.
Mhm.
So here's why I think that's the dumbest decision. And it's the same reason I think it's the dumbest decision to have Monsters Inc. over in that area and Buzz Lightyear across the way. And they have a Pixar Pier area. Start putting the Pixar stuff in the Pixar Pier area.
They're going to run out of space eventually.
I don't
And
think they. I
it
think they
doesn't.
will.
Well, when I say run out of space, I mean run out of space to expand Pixar Pier.
So
Like
here's where
it's because if they do that, then you're looking more at okay, Goofy Sky School is going to have to go.
oh, at some point, I don't think Goofy Sky School's safe at all.
But I don't either. But there's not a ton of space to put an entire boat attraction back there.
There is if you get rid of 2 current attractions.
They won't do that.
And that is why my proposition.
Mm-mm.
Where do you think I'm going with this?
I don't care. Anything along that pier is not being touched. Oh, are you gonna? No, there's no room for that. Never mind. Go ahead. I'll let you talk.
I think that the lack of maintenance, granted, around the resort, it's been terrible. No offense to maintenance guys, we love you, but
it's not them. There's just not very many of them.
That's true. And
that's
the funding, it's the funding. It's not the guys.
It's not the guys. Yeah.
The lack of maintenance to Ariel's Undersea Adventure, or whatever the heck that ride is called, tells me that it could eventually be on a chopping block. And if you do get rid of that attraction, you can then truly call it a Pixar Pier all the way around. So, because then, I mean, you can either paint Goofies or get rid of it. I personally think Coco is going to be where that building is, and at least partially where Redwood Creek Challenge Trail is. I think they might decrease that space, and that could be where Coco is to complete the Pixar Pier circle. The only thing that keeps me thinking it might not is because I think people would be up in arms if they get rid of a Little Mermaid attraction 10 years after, or however old it's been, 15 years after they opened it. But that attraction is not very well kept. It is on a regular 10, 15-minute wait. I think that they could cut it if they want to, if they're thinking big picture. You haven't thought about this yet, so I want your thoughts on this now that I've presented this idea.
If Coco is as big of a boat ride as they say it's going to be, it won't fit there, even if you expand some space. Because Little Mermaid is not a big attraction.
No, it's not a big
attraction. The building
at all.
Looks massive on the outside, but it's really not that big.
No.
So to put a show building there, I don't know that there's room, which is why I think they use the current bus loading zone as the extra space they need, especially since they're only going to have a slim walkway coming through there between Disneyland and what I assume will eventually be the DCA expansion to get people into the park on that west side, or on the east side. So I get where you're coming from. I guess it really depends on how big of a boat attraction we're talking here. We really don't know much about it yet.
The only other place, and it's not attraction, so I don't have this list, and I know they don't love to cut food out, but pizza and pasta could be the Boardwalk Pizza Pasta, that whole area, because the real reason they keep that area around, I think, is because of what they do with the holidays, right? Coco, and you get Viva Navidad and all that stuff. if you're having a Coco attraction in that area, I don't think you need all of that extra party stuff. I still think there should be a Ratatouille restaurant there. I will die on that hill, but I don't think it's coming. So
Yeah, no, you're not
why
gonna get
don't you
that.
get rid of that whole corner? And
No, they're
granted,
gonna. It's an area of the park that needs food.
it's true. It's true.
I think it'll get rethemed. Definitely.
Surprised it hasn't been. Why hasn't it been already?
Probably because it's tucked back in the corner and it's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of shading back there, right? There's a lot of seating.
Yeah.
You can see when there is a parade, you can see it from there.
Mhm.
It's a pretty good view. There's really no need for it,
That's fair. I think
but it will be eventually.
I think I think the only other option, and I looked at an aerial map, and I don't think it's big enough unless they really screw up the backstage system. But I think you know where that Pixar like promenade. Oh, I hit the microphone. You know where that Pixar promenade thing is, where they have like character meet and greets and stuff like that. If they blew a hole
No.
through that wall, they could build behind the pier, but it would not be any bigger than that mermaid site is. So that's why I looked at it, I was like, I don't think they can do it there. But I don't know.
Well,
I like thinking that they're going to keep all the Pixar stuff in Pixar Pier except for Cars Land because you can't pick it up.
I know you say you're looking at aerial photos and stuff, and I'm sure you as well as I have spent a lot of time backstage back there.
Mm-hmm. It would screw up.
Well, there's a lot of roller coaster support back there, so it's tough to navigate around that.
Sure.
Plus, it is a major artery for cast transportation and other operations that need to move their assets around and stuff like that. Maintenance buildings are back there. Yeah, that one's too hard.
Yeah. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be or no, because there's nothing you can. It's like, or do they get rid of jumping jellyfish and the swings and everything over there? But like, you would have to. I mean, unless you have like a walkway, I don't know.
Those are literally the only things that'll fit there.
I know
in those places, like you can't replace them with anything.
We've gone another D23 without getting rid of jumping jellyfish. I am just shook.
I will say it was funny. I did see somebody post a picture the other day on X that said, "Oh, we found the location of where the new Avatar land is going to go," and it was just an overhead shot of the lake, World of Color.
Please don't. Please don't. Well, the only other two things I had on my list are that there was a rumor going out that Avatar was going to replace Grizzly River Run because you have a sizable area there. But that just seems like way more than a 5-year job.
Well, and I thought about it too, and size-wise it would work out, but with the Grand Californian Hotel,
the theme
just
doesn't make sense without it.
Yeah, they won't. And I know theme and sense are words in a sentence that people are arguing lately. But I mean, there's real obvious things, and then there's things that are like, oh, that's a bold move.
Yeah.
This is one that they won't. You gotta kind of keep the hotel in line with what's right next to it in the park. Yeah. It blends almost seamlessly.
Oh, I don't know. That picture that they flashed of the Avatar, I mean, it looks kind of naturey. I don't know.
Well, it's Avatar. Of course it's naturey.
I don't know. I haven't watched the movies. Breaking news. I also haven't seen that.
I actually have seen that. Now, I didn't see it until after I went to Pandora.
Yeah. The only time I tried to watch it was at the very opening of Pandora. We went that summer, I think, and they were playing it on the channels in the hotels on a loop, trying to get people to understand what the heck they were walking into. But I like Avatar way more for the attraction they've built than the movie, because like I
even after seeing the movie, I don't really think you need to have seen it to understand what's going on in there.
Weird blue people.
Yeah.
And they're trying to conserve energy or the planet or something.
Just go on the 2 rides, enjoy them, get the heck out of there. There's plenty of rides people have been on where they haven't seen the movie, and it's fine.
Yeah. Well, Eric, the longest episode of Drafting the Magic Beyond the Draft by far is in the books.
Say, if you've made it this far,
We
You
were gonna.
really must
I
like
had.
us.
I had Disney legends. We're not talking Disney legends. They're legends. You know them. You know
The
them. You
only
love them.
legend, the only legend who deserves to get any
Joe
type of
Rody.
extended time on this show is Miley. No, it's Joe Rody.
How dare
That's
you?
just like
He's about to end the show. We'll never do it again.
I'm not saying Miley doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying it's Joe Rody.
Miley Cyrus.
This is a theme park related show. Joe should get all the accolades, and he should have his own wing. I don't know if they have a museum yet for this. They probably don't, because I don't think there's that many. But if they ever decide to build a hall with all the legends in there, he should get his own wing.
Yep. Yes,
his own
he should.
display.
Yes,
his own
should.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Well, congratulations to Joe and all of the other Disney legends that we don't really care about here on the show. Regardless, a long show, but a great show of Drafting the Magic beyond the draft. Make sure you follow us on all the social medias, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Send us a speak pipe with your suggestions for topics for season 3. We are officially talking about season 3 now, and we are excited. So go to speakpipe.com/drafting the magic and make sure you tell all of your friends about Drafting the Magic, not only some of them, all
of them,
especially if they like Disney, because this is a show for the people by the
nope
whatever. You know how it goes. EP, we're gonna have to just sit on all of this until they make more announcements, which I'm sure are coming. I mean, they announced the Rivers of America thing 2 seconds after D23. I wouldn't be surprised if we get an announcement of where Monsters is going by the end of the week. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah,
but we wouldn't be
surprised.
Yeah, because
exactly.
they're gonna, like they said, they got to start moving on this stuff. So, the roller coaster, the cruises, Disney's a fun place to be in the next couple of years, man.
Hey, we have one more piece of business too to take care of before we end our little summer series.
Oh my gosh. Are you referring to what's the it's the Drafting the Magic This or That Summertime Showdown final.
We made it
gosh, Eric.
all the way to the end. Thank you for voting, everyone, but we got one more round to go.
And what a weird final this has turned out to be. But it's thanks to you, the people. Thanks to you people. So let's talk about it.
Is this like the year that Georgia Tech played Connecticut in the championship game?
Again, none of our viewers know what you're talking about.
2000, I believe it was 2003. You can fact check me on that.
Gotta bring you to a trivia night.
That was 03. Maybe I'll be free to go one of these days.
Maybe. Regardless, the final round of Drafting the Magic's This or That Summertime Showdown is between the show Fantasmic at Disneyland and the thing that people argue is the best ride that Disney ever built, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, both at Disneyland and Disney's Hollywood Studios. This is the final that no one saw coming.
Little old school, little new school. I thought Rise would win the attraction bracket.
Okay, that's fair.
So,
it was a 4. It was a 4.
It was a 4.
Fantasmic's a 6.
Yeah, Fantasmic, no way did I think it would get this far. I mean, I'm happy for it.
Yeah.
I just didn't think it would happen.
It's going to be great. Congratulations to both of our finalists. The final vote will be on Saturday. That is August 17th. I don't know what time it officially goes out, but you'll have 24 hours, make the votes. And I think I've decided, Eric, that we need to get one of those trophies that we can like put a little like plaque. And so like we'll put like 2024 Summertime Showdown and 2024 food. We'll get there. It's going to be fun. 2024 holiday, and we'll just keep it going, I think. And we'll do this with all of the money that hasn't come in from this podcast yet. So,
yeah, exactly. So
what
if you
an
want
investment.
to donate at any time, my Venmo is.
If you just send us a rock, we'll make it the trophy.
Yeah.
Regardless, like and subscribe. Make sure you go on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a review. We will read it on air. Leave that speak pipe like we mentioned, and we'll play it on air. We will let the people hear your voice too. Yeah, we're rolling right along. We're getting close. More weeks.
You know, as being a cast member for a decade and a half, you think about it, and I would say every 3 or 4 years or so, we always get together and say, this is a really exciting time for the
Mhm.
Disneyland Resort. And I think at this point in time, this deserves to be in all caps with 17 exclamation points. This is an exciting time for the Disneyland Resort, for the company as a whole, really. But we're out here in California, so we're stoked with Disneyland Forward coming down the line. I think parking has to be taken care of first, which I'm sure it will, before they can move on to anything else. Or maybe it's a simultaneous job, but all of them moving and shaking. And I'm going to say it. This is what Walt would have wanted.
Yep. It's
Keep
what Walt would have wanted.
keep moving into the future. Keep setting the bar higher. Keep bringing us new things, and you can use the past to influence the future, but the past is the past.
Yes, it is.
And
We'll leave it.
I'll end our show today with this quote from me, and then I'll shut up and let you wrap it up. You can get on the train, or you can wave to us from the platform and say goodbye.
I love it. Say goodbye, everyone. Say goodbye to us. A great time to be the Disneyland Resort, to be the Disney company. A great time to have a podcast about the Disney parks. We'll see you next time.